everyone, this is Edwin Olvera from Edwin Olvera Dance and Creative Services, and in this particular interview I get to interview my good friend Anthony Oliva. Now Anthony and I, we've met I think back in 2012 during a Pilobolus project called in collaboration with national NPR, which is the National Public Radio Station. The show was called Radio Lab, and the evening length show was called In the Dark. Anthony worked with my brother first. They helped create that project, and then I joined in a couple months later. But let me just share a little bit of background about Anthony. That's the beautiful thing about live interviews. You never know where it's going to go. So currently, Anthony and I are on this particular project right now in Dubai, which is to celebrate the National Dubai Day. It's the 44th celebration. So we're here going to be working on some puppetry and also some stylized movement. But let's see. So you're a former member of Pilobolus as a freelance artist, and then you were also a part of one of the creators of the ER physical comedy. This was a web series that Anthony and I and my twin brother Roberto and another guy named Evan Adler, we created it while we were touring on the road for about a year and had a lot of blast doing it. It's in hibernation, but it may come out in 2016. Anthony's also I believe you're a staff member or part-time with the NECA, right? New England School of New England. What's it called? New England Center for the Arts. What's your current status there from?
I was a full-time staff member up until a year ago, and then I went to work on my own and study in Montreal. So I'm not currently a staff member, but
you have
that
good
circus community there.
Yeah, you're the second person I know. Another woman is named. They have a company called Matika, and they do arts and stuff, aerial arts and other things down in Connecticut. Let's see. You studied there, right?
Yes.
And you graduated from that facility. But what did you graduate in?
I graduated in 2011 from the ProTrack.
ProTrack.
Program.
What does that mean? Because I've never.
They have two professional training programs. One is the intensive program, and that's more of kind of the first level sort of introductory program where you are learning a lot of skills, conditioning your body, getting it into a place where you can start to use it as a professional artist. And then the ProTrack program is the next step. Yeah. Where you're more focused as an artist and you kind of have some ideas of what you want to make creatively and maybe a background in circus that you are bringing to it to accelerate your career.
Oh wow, that's wonderful. How long was that course or that program?
Both of those programs are 9 months.
Wow, it's almost a year and a half, 2 years, right, of your life dedicated to that.
I just did the one program, but it's like a school semester, and they're trying. The past few years, they've been moving it towards a 2-year program instead of just doing one or the other. Wow,
awesome. You also went to University of Alaska, Anchorage. What did you study there?
I studied theater.
That's what I wrote, theater. I put question mark with dance, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the theater and
but you
dance
do a lot of
department
dancing,
are one and the same.
Oh, intertwined.
At the school, so yeah.
And then the last thing is you studied architect?
Yeah.
Right, at the Illinois Institute of Technology. Now that's like so far.
Tech, we like to call it.
Tech. It's just so interesting because you see this. You're like, circus arts, theater, and then from way before there was, designing. Right. It's pretty interesting. Wonderful. So let's talk about the first question I always ask everyone is, what was the very first sign that maybe you noticed or maybe your parents noticed when you're growing up that you're probably going to get into the performing arts?
Just the first thing that comes to my
head
is when my sister was being born. So my sister's 2 years younger than me. So we went to the hospital. My mom was there for labor and everything. And I took a stethoscope from a doctor. They gave me one because I was just like talking to everybody and wandering around, and I wandered around with a stethoscope, and I was like, "Yep, you're okay." Yep, you're okay. You know, I was just like entertaining everyone and just talking
During
to
an
people
intense
and,
moment, right?
Yeah.
The labor moment of labor. I know.
Yeah.
I had 2 labors. I've been, my kids, so I know what it's like when you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
so hyper focused, and this little kid's moving around like, let me check you.
Yeah.
And then, so that was, what age was that around?
Would have been 2. Yeah.
Wow, 2? Oh my god, you were a performer then.
Yeah.
And then what happened when you hit like around, say, I don't know, when you're maybe 11, that time frame, or even like when you're 18? What, were you in sports at all?
In like middle school, high school, I did some sports. I didn't do one thing all the way through. I kind of bounced around.
You tried a lot of
bunch of different things. Yeah, but growing up, like grade school, and into early high school, my brother and sister and I always used to play these imagination games, we called them.
Imagination.
We'd be just outside and we would create these stories of like, oh, we're like super special people. We have these powers and we're held in this government compound, and so we have to escape, or we're already escaped, and then the government's after us. So we'd be like playing around outside in the yard, in the street, and then whenever cars would drive by, we would just like run and dive into the bushes because they were coming to get us. And,
sounds like you could be a pilot for a good show.
Yeah.
Oh man. Now speaking of, I wrote a list of people that your family members.
Mm-hmm.
There's your mom, your dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your mom Becky, your dad Ralph, your brother Sebastian.
Yep.
And then you have a sister Amber.
Yep.
Anyone else or no?
No, that's it.
Okay, that's
the like
that's the immediate family.
Yeah, my mom actually, she passed away a couple of years ago. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that. All right. Okay, so then, now when you were growing up, right? So this is like looking at like middle school, high school. What were some movements that influenced you? You said you were in kind of theater a little bit, but did you explore musicals when you were younger at all, or?
No, it was mostly like the theater stuff came after
high school
and after architecture is when I got to study theater, and but I was always climbing on things, and my brother and sister and I, we'd climb over fences, jump. We had these sheds in the backyard. We would challenge each other to climb up the face of the shed and then jump off, and like
with no rigs.
We had these clubs. Yeah. And then in the winter, we'd get some good snowfall up in Anchorage, and we used to just like freak our parents out because we would climb up on the roof of the house and just like run and jump off the edge of the house and just like spread eagle
into the snow
and like do flips and stuff. And
yeah. So this is what they call like you're more of the kinesthetic learner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the same thing I noticed, and for myself when I had transitioned from my military schooling into the dance world profession, I realized that I wanted to be moving more than doing the studying. I think the study is important, but I just felt for myself at that time that my body needed to be learning ideas and concepts through physical manipulation. And so let's go back to that about you going to school for architect, deciding to leave Alaska and then going down to Illinois. What was your reason for doing that?
I was really good at math in high school, so it just made sense to me, and I did the AP classes and kind of was on an accelerated track in high school for that, and then I also enjoyed art classes and drawing and expressive sort of stuff like that. So I kind of was like, oh, okay, well, put those together. What's that? Architecture. Sure. Okay, so
graphic design. No, architecture.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got a partial scholarship to this school in Illinois, in Chicago, and went down there to do that, and it was. I really liked learning about how things fit together and the different materials and how you can study space and create space, whether it's like in a small Chicago block that's super narrow and long, you could still make it livable, or I enjoyed that, but it wasn't like looking back, I was like, oh, I guess it wasn't physical enough for me.
Yeah.
Sitting at a drafting table all day, like,
Yeah, it can feel at times like claustrophobic,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just as you're describing, I'm like, man, I don't know if I would feel comfortable with that. I would have to try to physically, I would try to make huge mock-ups of the thing and move it around and see,
That was my favorite part.
The mock-ups, huh?
Yeah, we made models. And,
yeah. How has it applied into your current state when you're doing, choreography, or when you're making a project with a group of people and it becomes a production? Do you think about those elements as an architect, Or has your brain kind of just removed it and says, now I'm more of a mover than a designer,
I still, I haven't kept up with the study of all of these, kind of mechanics of architecture, so, but I still notice them when I'm in spaces. And, certain spaces I'll feel really, inspired to move in, I was in Brattleboro a couple weeks ago, just walking around town, and there was there was a space that had been recently redone because of a fire, and I was walking through this kind of driveway, but it was brick and covered, and I was listening to music, and I just was in this place, and I was like, yeah, and I started just dancing in this spot,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I love noticing spaces and kind of interacting
with the space also. Yeah, which then becomes your own unique site-specific work, even if nobody ever sees it, but that you had the chance to kind of let your creative juices, spill all over the space and bring that stuff to life, your ideas to life. This is kind of going, we've been talking about your past a little bit, so as we all know, every artist, every performer who's in the entertainment industry, we get hurt, right? We get hurt. The key thing is, how do you recover from an injury? So the question I ask you is, maybe something recent that you got an injury, and how did you recover from it?
Well, let's see. I think in the past I've been sometimes I'll rely on my body to just fix itself over time.
Spontaneous healing.
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So I'll realize that there's a pain, and then kind of I'm like, okay, that's there. I'll work around it. Kind of wait for it to subside on its own. I mean, and there's something to that.
That's true.
Because the body
will heal itself if you give it time. Yeah.
But then there are things you can do to help it also, and so that's kind of what I've been trying to learn. I've sprained my ankle a couple times, really good, really.
Which
good.
one, right or left? Which is the one that tends to get
right?
Right.
Yeah. And just the last time I did it, it was a couple years ago. I was actually at the circus school. A bunch of us were goofing around and doing acrobatics, and I landed on a crash mat, but while I was twisting and landing, and kind of rolled it over, and but Molly and Damon, a couple of people that we both know, great movement and healers, and so they were right there, and they kind of okay, come on, they did some
physical manipulation
there,
yeah,
and
both good at it.
And so then I just had a process of keeping it mobile while it was healing, because that's there's a lot of research now coming out about the icing and resting, and how that's really kind of, people aren't really following that anymore. You can ice it and compress it, to keep the inflammation down. Yeah. But then you want to get heat to it so blood can flow to it and get it moving sooner. So
no, this is great.
That's kind of what I've been.
What you're talking about is what I experienced firsthand when I had a really bad injury, and I mentioned it in another video. I had a really bad injury. I ripped my calf muscle when I was performing in Israel. Make a long story short, I went to see a PT guy. They did ice, they rest, but then they worked my muscles to align it, and they had me performing back on stage because they braced me that they went through this whole regimen where instead of telling me stay off the foot, they're like, no, you're going to be performing tonight, which is different. This is different with the injury of that magnitude,
Yeah.
So because it's scar tissue. You don't want the scar tissue to align all lumped up and knotted up like this. You want to get those muscles open and moving and get them tracking again.
Yep.
You know, I'm not a physical therapy assistant. I was going to school for it, but I didn't get my degree. That's a no. Okay, so kind of moving forward to the present state. You know, what inspires you right now as a person, as an artist?
Well, the past few years, I've done a lot of partner work in circus and in dance and
from hand balancing type stuff, right, to counterbalance motions, right?
Yeah. And I really love that, and I just love the communication of people on stage, you know, and just in movement, and so that's really inspiring to me and has been for a while. And recently I've been inspired and scared by, solo movement.
Oh, really?
Because when I have someone else to focus with on stage and to create movement with, it's just so much more comfortable for me than being on stage
by yourself,
alone and trusting that
your decisions are correct and right for that moment. That am I going to look a certain way, or is it going to come out convey the way I want it to? Right?
Yeah, so I've been trying to just put myself more in those situations and just dance more and move more by myself and kind of trust and start to break into that and push those boundaries of comfortability for myself.
Have you found yourself, we're recording this video in Dubai in my room. Have you found yourself exploring movement in your own hotel room? Or have you just been I'm tired from being jet lagged? You know what I mean?
I guess I haven't explored as much. Now that you mention it, I'm like,
we might do solo bed movements.
Yeah, just last night I was goofing off with a friend, sending videos back and forth and things, and I just set up the camera and just took a flying leap at the bed and smack. So we sent a couple of those back and forth. And
maybe there's something there, right? Early stages. Again, these are massive rooms, and it's kind of like a crash pad. So what can you do that could be creative in the hotel?
I have a couple videos from that year when we were touring with Pilobolus, because we had different hotel rooms all the time. Sometimes it was 2 twins, or 2 queens, and sometimes it was one big one like this. And so I took videos of doing acrobatics, bouncing between beds or flipping over and bouncing.
Is it posted online?
Yeah, I think I have some of them online, and if not, I can
if you can share it. Yeah,
I think it's on Facebook.
And who knows, you never know, there could be an awesome video that's going to come after this interview.
Yeah.
Solo movement on the bed.
Yeah.
Alright, so, as an artist, there are moments where we want to explore other forms of movement, right? And I'm saying that as an artist, I'm talking mainly as a circus performer or as a movement artist like myself. There are times where I really want to explore maybe fencing. This is just an example. Or I would love to play around more with large scale puppets. How do you bring breath and life to a large inanimate object? So what's something for you that you would like to explore as far as movement, maybe coming up in December of 2015 or for 2016? I've made this prop. It's like a 6-foot fiberglass pole. Yeah.
With some rubber ends, and I would love to make a movement piece with that. Just moving and interacting with the floor.
Like a bowl or a staff.
Yeah.
But it bends though, not like wood, because wood can still firm. Or is it the fiberglass
It bends slightly, but not to this degree.
I got it.
Yeah. So that's kind of something that I got, and I actually have a couple more of different lengths, and I was gonna play with making some different lengths and see
what happens, right?
Which Yeah.
Does it twirl like a baton? Is it a bow staff, like martial arts stuff?
So like an
does
8-foot pole that I can like climb up on and
is it
fall?
kind of like the Chinese pole, right? That you, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so going forward, what's your next collaboration you have after this particular project?
So from Dubai here, I'm flying right to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's an aerial dance company there called Caroline Kalouche and Company. And she has a circus nutcracker show that she does every year. And I did it a couple years ago. A friend of mine recommended me. She needed a guy to do some partnering with. And there's a friend from the circus school, and she was like, I know just the guy. So I went down there and did
Anthony.
it. And yeah, right? So I'm going down there again to do it this year. I missed last year's, but I'm going down again this year. And it's a lot of fun. Good group of people, and there's kids in the show too, and adults, and there's dance, circus. There's the storyline, so there's some like theater to it as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Good group of people, and my dad is down in South Carolina.
Oh, so you get a chance to
he's
see
gonna
him.
come see the show, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna go stay with him for a couple weeks and get some family time there too. So.
I want to just talk a little more about the styles of movements that you actually got hired for. I know you can do juggling, and I know you do hand balancing stuff. What are some of the aerial things that you have either been hired for, or skill sets that you can actually do? Say somebody's watching this video and they're like, yeah, really, I'm looking for a performing artist, and they hear it and maybe they want to hire you. So what are some things that you have in your bag of tricks that you can do? Hand balancing is one. Juggling is another.
Like hand-to-hand work. I work with a partner, and we have a couple different acts. And I do hoop diving. I have a couple different styles of pieces in that. I can be a really good goofball on stage. So
Physical
I
comedy,
love,
physical theater.
Physical comedy, with the hoops and.
Check out the ER. There's plenty of videos.
Yeah.
ER physical comedy.
So hoop diving, hand to hand. I do Chinese pole, and duo trapeze. I don't have a partner that I work with full time in that, but I have a repertoire of skills, and I've worked with a few different people and made some acts for shows, and then I've done. When I first started circus, it was with aerial fabric.
Really?
So
The silks?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Silk. So I did that, and I have fabric and trapeze and straps.
In those aerial apparatuses.
Yeah, basic to mid proficiency in that. For teaching workshops when I go places to perform, I can plug in some workshops and do some collaborative acts and those things.
Oh wow, wonderful! And he also can check off on the list large scale puppetry. I mean, that's what we're being hired for.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Prop manipulation, that could be another one.
Yep, animation and yeah,
and architect.
Yep.
But you're not.
I could brush up on that.
I could brush up on
read a few books. Okay, yeah.
Oh my god. Well, this is the...
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Well, this is the last question that I ask, and it's not a question, it's more of a word of advice. What would you leave the people who are watching this, my fans, followers, friends, family, and even people that you know, if there was a word of advice that you can leave to the upcoming artist or circus performer, what would it be? No, that's a time. No worries. Go ahead.
I think we have a couple more minutes because that's a 25-minute.
Sure.
So, yeah, word of advice. Something that I would have told myself is don't judge the work that you do. Just make work, and you're not going to start out just making brilliant things. You have a standard and a vision of work that you want to make, and if you if you hold off and don't make work until it meets that standard, you're never going to reach it, because you have to just make things and experiment and make mistakes and make successes and learn from them and get there and like keep working towards that point. But you can't work towards that point if you don't work and just do it. So
put stuff out there.
Put it out there. You know, don't judge yourself, and don't
put the barrier that stops you from
yeah.
making this momentum happen.
Because there may be people that judge you, mm-hmm. and you know, that's their prerogative. You know, you don't need to. You're doing your thing and you're growing, and you know, mistakes are opportunities to learn. It's only a mistake if you let it stop you.
Got it. There was a quote from a gentleman named Dan Pena, and he talks about paralysis by perfection. You know, that we stop ourselves. Maybe you don't send that email out because it's not correct grammatically, or you know, the whole message is, there's missing information. Just put stuff out there that people ask the question, you can solve it later. Like, mm-hmm. Stop putting these barriers up from your momentum to taking action.
Yeah.
The last thing we'll leave with is, Anthony, is there any way people can reach out to you on social media?
Mm-hmm.
I know you have a Facebook account.
Yep, I'm on Facebook.
Anthony Olivia, right? And
Anthony Oliva.
Oliva.
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, so find me on there, and I have an Etsy page for this other like material arts that I do. I make jewelry, and find me on there.
And it's called,
Simply Spoken
AK. Yeah, Simply
Alaska.
Spoken AK on Etsy. And if you want to show, this is one of your things you have here. Yeah, it's made from bike spokes, right? Mm-hmm. Well, wonderful. Well, Anthony, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
and you'll look forward to seeing this video online, so we'll share it to our friends. All right, if you like what's going on here, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like it, share comments down below, and pass this this moment that we've had right here to your friends and family, because there's someone that you may know who's an artist and sometimes need words of encouragement, or sees professionals doing it at a higher level. Maybe we can be inspiration for him or her. So with that being said, be well, and I'll talk to you soon.